This has been an incredible year for prickly pear fruits. I mean, this one here was like a monster. You got to use those hot dog tongs to handle these things. 'Cause they've got those little spines on there that they're tiny, but they're itchy. They get to be a bother. But I picked all these. Oh, I don't know. I walked about 30 minutes today through some fields and got, I don't know what this is, about 7 or 8 pounds of those things, maybe. And I've been making all kinds of stuff out of the prickly pears. I got to thinking about it. I wanted to show you the jam, and I kind of got the munchies. So, but it's a beautiful. I don't know if you get the color. It's reddish pink, and it makes a nice. It made a really nice jam. That LED light, it gives kind of a weird color to it. But anyway, well, munchies, and thinking about it, I got some of Dave's kick-ass bread and put it on there. The jam, making the jam, you see it's thick. And usually when people make prickly pear jelly, they'll get a bunch of pectin and put it in there, and they'll just cook the prickly pear fruits, pour off the juice water. It's like not very concentrated or anything. And then they put a whole bunch of pectin and sugar in it, to make that jelly. But I wanted to make a real jam, out of the whole plant, out of the whole fruit. And that was a pain in the ass. Just about everything I've done with this has been a pain in the ass. But it's been fun. And I made some really cool stuff too. To make that jam though, I made 7 jars. 7 jars of it. It was a pretty good load of prickly pear that I had brought in. And I cooked them. Well, first I throw them in a tub. And rub and rub and rub and rub. I put on those rubber latex gloves. And wipe them off and clean them off. You could even put a little bit of bleach in that water to kill germs on the outside, because sometimes I'll have bird poop on them or something like that. So anyway, I washed them off, scrubbed them off, cooked them, and then I just blended them in a blender and smashed through this little screen colander thing. I just mashed them with a spoon and pushed the pulp through, and I thought it would keep the seeds out, because the seeds are like little rocks. So I ended up having to pick a lot of the seeds out of the finished goo after I squeezed it through the sieve, and then I cooked it down and blew a little fan across the top to get it real thick like that. And it's got its own pectins in there. I did add a little bit of xylitol for a little extra sweet, and a squeeze of lemon in there for a little tart, and it turned out good. Good jam. And it's really good for you too, because this has what is it? Fiber, soluble fiber, and flavonoids, and betalins. Betalins, betalins. And those are all anti-diabetic thing. I had an old man lived across the street from me when he was 90 something years old. And he told me his grandmother made a tea of the prickly pear cactus every day to control her diabetes. And now, like 100 years later, 150 years later, science has discovered that there are these compounds in the prickly pear. It's a ruby. It's like ruby red. I don't know how the camera gets it, but it is a ruby red. These are kombuchas that I'm making. And that there is kombucha that I just bought at the farm. You don't need a light for that. I bought that at the farmer's market. And I just poured it in the little jar. Well, I drank half of it, but I put some of it in a little 12-ounce jar. It'll kind of do its fermenting there, and that kombucha will grow that little scum layer on top the SCOBY, the SCOBY or the mother of the kombucha. So I just, take a little bit of that product that I bought to make a SCOBY, and I'll let it just sit in there for about 4 days, maybe five or 6 days. And it'll get like strong vinegary, probably start making a little more alcohol than I want in it, but I'm just growing it to get the culture going. And then I made 1.5 gallons there of some green tea. And then threw a bunch of my prickly pear, one of my prickly pear products in there, kind of the juice. That guy's always looking at me. It's one of those pictures that looks at you no matter where you go in a room. But so yeah, that'll be 1.5 gallons of some really nice kombucha, because I used that Arizona iced tea that had the honey in it, and well, I did that the first kombucha I made. I used the Arizona iced tea with the honey in it, and it turned out good. But this, okay, so I to make the jam, I just cooked those things and smashed it through the sieve and picked out what seeds, were in there, because they're as hard as little rocks, So, but it's real kind of grainy. And any of this pulp type stuff that you get out of that cactus, or even if you just break open one of those cactus, cut it open and eat it, like if you're out in the desert surviving, it's kind of grainy, but I guess that stuff's good for you. It just feels a little weird, in the jam. And so, with a lot of these different products that I come up with, I'm wanting to get a lot of those solids out of there. Just makes it more pleasant to use. Okay, so I had the jam that I made like that, just boiling them and blending it and smashing it through the sieve, and then cooking it down and sweetening it a little bit. Then I took a batch and I just boiled them for just maybe a minute. I basically just wanted to kill what was on the outside, and because like I said, they got different stuff on them and everything. So I just kind of blanched them a little bit, and then I mashed them down into this wheatgrass juicer, this old stainless steel wheatgrass juicer, and it's got that auger down in there that it turns around, and it carries the stuff on down that tube, and the tube is it gets smaller and smaller, and there's a metal screen in there so that it presses and masticates the juice, and it came out like this applesauce looking stringy, like aloe vera. It's cactus juice, it was a thick, stringy, gooey red, pink. And then on the end over here, it has a nut that goes in there that you can push down to catch the seeds and stuff. And it actually did seem to push all the seeds. It crunched them up and compressed them down at the end there. And I would have to adjust the end of that screw goes down in there and gets in the way of where it's trying to come out, where the pulp is trying to come out the end, and it blocks it. And I would block it up and let it start catching, but then I'd have to open it a little bit because it get like as hard as a rock packed down there. So I'd open it a little bit and let that plug start to come out just real slow, pushing out of this end while I was, but it was crazy because to get it to come through here and work it, the consistency of this stuff is so weird that I had to take a bottle. It was actually this kind of bottle, and the lid of it happened to fit just right down at the bottom of this hole down there. That hole is the same size as this lid. So I was able to mash it. And it was crazy. I spent 2 hours or something to come up with this. I think it was like this container here, filled about up to there with the juice. So I let that sit. But the cool thing is, that stuff wasn't really cooked a lot, so it's going to have all those flavonoids and betalins, yeah, and fiber, and what else? It's got something else, and well, those all have like real high antioxidant level. I mean, this is really healing stuff. This is like medicine, right? So, so I ran that stuff through that juicer. Well, tonight I took it out and I dripped out. I put it in a this is like cheesecloth screen type grade. It's actually from a screen printer, a t-shirt screen printing thing, but cheesecloth type grade. And it just kind of dripped down through there real thick, and I think I've got just about all I'm going to get as far as juice out of this. But even this stuff now it's going to be like if I was to eat a little bit of that, I was using a brush to kind of brush it around and get the drips to finish going through there. But yeah, it's got that grainy, fruity and grainy. But I won't throw that away by any means. I just wanted to get that clean juice out because those drips are real thick. Let's set that on there for a second. Yeah, this juice is like beautiful. I mean, it looks kind of purplish in the way this camera light is. I'm kind of moving around, get a different kind of light on it. But it's the most beautiful. You can see it's kind of layered out too. I can see it's kind of some of the solids have gone to the solids that got through that screen. They show up in this light and look like really kind of brown or something. But it's a beautiful, beautiful product. And then, once that kombucha's made, now the kombucha that I bought at the farmer's market, it looked like that. I mean, it's got just a little tinge of color to it. And the ones that I've been making, they've been having like this beautiful, beautiful pink. And it's just a tiny bit bubbly and fizzly. So I've got, a few different things going on. There was another product. Okay, so I did that thing with with mashing it through the screen. I did that thing with this juicer and came up with the gooey raw product. So this stuff, that's what's so cool about this one, is it's raw. Just cactus juice. I mean, just a sip of that, would be like eating some fruits. But there were these others. Yeah, these guys, these 3 bottles. This is 3 8-ounce bottles. It looked like, did they settle a little bit of a layer in there? Yeah, that's just like a little juice layer in them. Interesting how the different parts of this settle out differently. But this stuff, these 3 bottles, I ran through the Acme centrifugal juicer, with the spinning basket in it. And the Acme juicer does not let the pulp fly out of the basket. Some of those juicers, like the Jack LaLanne juicer, they have a centrifugal basket in there, but it kind of spits the pulp out like immediately. But you don't want to do that with this juice. You want to the Acme, it just stays in the basket and it just keeps spinning, and those little drips of juice keep on filtering out through until it juices it out real well. So I made these 3 bottles. Weird. It's almost like solidified. That is bizarre. It's got like these patterns on it, but that's just for the nature of the the goo and but I'm just wondering what it consistency is like. Oh my goodness. What the heck? Wow. Wow. It is thick. But it ran through I'm gonna see how. Yeah, it's a little grainy. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I gotta taste that more. I was raised on a silver spoon. Not really. Hmm. Hmm. Well, you know what I'm going to do with those? I think I'm just going to take, like, the next time I make a gallon of that kombucha. I mean, I could dehydrate this, but I was just reading above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it breaks down those flavonoids and betalains if you cook it too long. But if I put it in a dehydrator at 100, it said they don't get degraded below 120 degrees. So I could set my dehydrator on 120 degrees, and I could, cook this stuff down on sheets of plastic. Get that white plastic from what they cover the pallets with at Home Depot, and put that in the dehydrator, and then crumble it up and throw it in the little coffee grinder after it's dried, and make a powder and put that in capsules and have diabetes medicine for people that need to make their sugar burn right more evenly. And the research on that is pretty incredible, for diabetes, and that's kind of why I got into this original. I don't have diabetes. I mean, I don't think I do anyway. But I do know the doctor told me one time. He said, "Yeah, yours is high. It might not be there yet, but it might be something that you want to keep an eye on." So I just that's good. That's that fresh one. Dang, that is good. Well, this one, yeah, I ran it through the Acme juicer, and it came out like this, blop, 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 and pretty thick. But since that was fresh, raw, I think I ought to go ahead and like dehydrate it. It's got all those betalains and flavonoids and stuff, so I should probably maybe dehydrate that. That'll be a different project. I'll have to let you know how that goes. Maybe turn the video on while we're doing that. So, oh, and after I ran it through the centrifugal juicer, inside the basket, of course, is all of the pulp. I mean, but it's not dry, but it's not drippy wet either. It's just, all the juice has been centrifuged out of it. And so I scraped all that out, and it was like, I don't know, cup and a half of that pulp. And so I put it in a pot and boiled it with some water for a few minutes, and came up with this juice here that I've been sipping on, just taking a gulp of every day. That's good for you. It gets to fermenting a tiny bit, not like that stuff up there fermenting to kombucha stage, but it gets a little bit fermented, which is fine. Those fermented drinks like that are really good for your innards, and which is something else I was reading about these things. These prickly pear compounds is for your innards and your digestive tract, and really, really, really good for creating an environment where the bad bacteria don't do so well, and you get these really good ones. So you got really, really, really good bathroom habits. So anyway, yeah, got a lot of different things going on, mainly aiming towards some storable, dehydrate, capsulated medicine for. I've got a diabetic friend who does check his blood and stuff, and he was